One day, while walking down the street, a cowboy pal I happened to meet of whom I hadn't seen since fall of '93, and he shared a tale that made me cry. So, in his own words, I will try to recreate how he related it to me. To catch us up, I'll have to tell about my summer spent in hell and a feline pet that caused the whole affair. About some stupid things I did, like I still a greenhorn kid, and repercussions from not taking proper care. You see, I'd hired out to lend a hand to help this outfit rope and brand all their calves up when they turned them out that spring. We'd pulled the wagon out in May. The grub was fair, as was the pay, and they'd staked me to a pretty handy string. But when the work was said and done and we had had ourselves our fun, I just reckoned I'd be back a saddle tramp. But they offers decent pay through the summer if I'd stay and take the job to tend the cows at bottom camp. Well, I accepts, and thanks them kind, never given any mind that the bottom camp was no vacation center, for I figured heck, I'd switch. If I saved, I'd be rich by the time we drove the cattle home for winter. And the camp had work enough each day to keep me humping for my pay. I had no time or chance to practice being lazy. But that old line shack sure got tight in all them lonely hours at night, and that soon began to drive me cabin crazy. It weren't too long before I found that I'd be talking just for sound, and soon my conversations went on all night long. Oh, I was amiable at first, but then my attitude got worse, and I'd argue even when I wasn't wrong. But then I received this welcomed note in which my little sister wrote that she is coming out to see the camp and me, and she'd bring a pet to be my friend, and that should help to put an end to being cranky due to lack of company. But on the day that she arrived, I was unpleasantly surprised to see the present she had brung out from the city. It weren't a canine like I thought, and it made me some distraught when I found out what she brought out was a kitty. But she pled a real good case that it should liven up the place, and then she argued all the merits of a cat. She said they don't bark or make a mess, and that it'd rid the house of pests, so I figured that it might work out at that. So I spent a lot of time kissing up to that feline, and I worked to build a bond with it each day, but old Pusser didn't care. It acted like I wasn't there, even worse, like I was always in its way. But I sure started thinking twice when it made friends of all the mice when to me it wouldn't give a second look. I was only there to tend its needs, while it would leave its dirty deeds in my slippers or upon my favorite book. It wouldn't use the litter box, but it would steal and hide my socks. Heck, I lost more than any dryer ever ate. And it would constantly shed hair in food, on clothes, and everywhere. I coughed a hairball out a squirrel would want a date. Or I'd do my chores, and as I did, it would sneak from where it hid to pounce and dig its claws into my back. I never knew from where when it'd be attacking me again, but I got paranoid just being in that shack. If it weren't shredding up my bed, then it'd be whining to be fed, and all its meals would have to be prepared just so. But things had gone way too far the day I looked into my jar and found it littered right there in my sourdough. Well, that proved the final straw. I'd spit that cat out of my craw and banish it to live on what it caught. So I threw that winch outside with all my troubles to reside, so things could settle down, or so I thought. But it just screeched a mournful song and kept it going all night long like his auditioning to sing before the devil. It just ducked the things I flung, then raised the volume that it sung to an intolerable and irritating level. I couldn't get that horrid pest to give its vocal cords a rest, and it would encore that same concert every night. Every time toward sleep I'd fade, it'd start again that serenade. What it was doing to my psyche wasn't right. Sometimes, somehow it'd get back in, and then it'd meet me with a grin as if to say, I guess I surely won this bout. The whole place would be a wreck. I'd want to wring its scrawny neck, and I'd play hell to get that stupid cat back out. It seemed to almost always win at getting underneath my skin, and my work away became my only buffer. I think it spent its waking hours practicing its evil powers, finding new and different ways to make me suffer. Every day it just got worse. It got to where that I'd curse the very thought of even stepping foot outside. It would scratch and hiss and bite. We'd have this horrible bloody fight. I was near the point of contemplating suicide. If I was ever to be free, then it was strictly up to me to do the only other thing I knew I could. Because there was no good recourse, I'd have to employ deadly force and put that cat out of my misery for good. The only problem I had now was the deciding as to how, for a lot was riding on the way I chose. So I set out to devise that demon kitty cat's demise. It would be the coup de grace to all my woes. So, with that task upon my mind constantly, I tried to find the apparatus I'd use to ring its knell. Guns or knives just didn't seem near harsh enough to fit the dream of the way I was gonna send it back to hell. Then, on an open mountainside, one sunny day I happened to ride past the tunnel of a long-abandoned mine. So I stepped off to the ground, started rummaging around to see what might be there that I could find. I yelped like a scalded fox when I looked in this old box and found some things in there I knew that I could use. By some shovels and a pick, there lay a perfectly good stick of blasting powder.